3 days, 3 countries, 3 epic historical stories. Welcome to the History Bombs vlogs exploring the land of memory. I'm on a road trip through Northern Europe with History Bombs actor Tom, and today we're in Verdun, France.
Hello and welcome to a beautiful sunny morning in Verdun, France. I'm here with History Bombs actor Tom Tockley.
Hi, hello.
We are in the beautiful fortress city of Verdun. Tom, what do we know about Verdun?
Well, up until this morning, I didn't even know there was a city here, Chris, to be honest. I was expecting just expanses of fields and trees, but it turns out it's a very beautiful city.
It's a beautiful, very historic city on La Meuse.
Right.
Not pronounced Meuse.
That's the river.
Yes.
River Meuse. Why is it so important then?
It's really important because once you cross the river, you pretty much have a 160-mile stretch to Paris. This was actually the last fortification to surrender in the Franco-Prussian War of 1870.
Okay.
And after that, the French set about building vast fortifications so that the city would never again fall into German hands.
So the fortifications we're seeing around us, they were not built due to World War I, they were built prior to
World War I. And Fort Douaumont, which we're going to see today, was finished in 1913, just before the outbreak of war.
It's good timing, isn't it?
Good timing.
Crikey.
So yes, we're in Verdun. We're going to learn all about the Battle of Verdun. We're going up to the forts around the city and tell the stories of what happened up there. But first, we're going to go underneath the city. I think it'll give us a sense of what the Battle of Verdun might have been like in the city itself. Let's go.
Crikey, bring it on.
Beneath the city lies the underground citadel. Built after the Franco-Prussian War, this 7-kilometre tunnel network became a key headquarters for the French army during the Battle of Verdun. The tunnels were designed to provide shelter for thousands of troops, as well as stores for weapons, ammunition and supplies. The complex even has its own bakery, a mill, and an augmented reality train experience.
Okay, let's...
That is spacey. Oh, I can see them.
Have I doing this right? I am doing this right.
I don't know. So Tom, the underground citadel, having been in there, what do you think about spending lengths of time under constant bombardment?
I mean, it's freezing, it's dark, it's foreboding, miserable, claustrophobic. This was a year of constant,
300 days.
shelling, 300 days,
the longest
10,000 people inside, and it's like it's a symbol of France holding out
French
against
resistance.
its enemies throughout history, and most importantly, driving back the Germans in World War I. Like, they couldn't claim it, could they?
No, the Germans never got into the city itself, but they did manage to take several forts around the city, and we're going to find out more about 2 of those forts now.
Nice.
Let's go.
I'm ready.
By 1915, German Chief of Staff Erich von Falkenhayn believed victory could be achieved by inflicting mass casualties on the French army. In February 1916, the Germans launched a vast attack on Verdun, knowing the French would defend their sacred city at any cost.
Welcome to Fort Douaumont, northeast of Verdun. Tom, what do you think we're sitting on?
Well, Chris, in my amateur opinion, I'd have to say possibly a helmet for some kind of giant super soldier.
It's a good guess. It's a good guess.
But it's not right.
But it's not right, no. It's actually a vast, retractable gun turret.
Oh, well, it's pretty big.
And it gives you a sense of the scale of fortifications at this fort. This was considered the most heavily fortified position in the entire world in 1916. Tom, how long do you think it took the Germans to take this position?
I feel like that's a trick question.
Spoiler alert, they did take the position.
If assuming they took it, I mean, what, months? Surely months.
You'd think so, right?
Yeah, I mean, look at it.
They took this position within 4 days and without a single casualty.
No, they didn't.
It's a true story.
4 days.
A true story.
Okay, go on. How did it?
1914, the Germans had attacked Belgian and French forts and defeated them very easily. General Joffre of the French army had seen that, thought that these fortifications, despite their scale and size, were going to be essentially useless to German attack.
Right.
So as opposed to keeping all the guns here and keeping a huge garrison of soldiers here, they took all of the heavy artillery away to other field positions on the Western Front. As opposed to a garrison of 500 soldiers, they left only 56 soldiers, and they were mostly middle-aged and not battle-hardened at all.
So the response of the most heavily defended position in the world to the German advance was to move all the guns away from it and cut the garrison down from 500 to 50.
That is exactly what happened.
Bit of a misplay?
Yeah.
Potentially?
So, huge bombardment on the 21st of February. By the 25th of February, a small German reconnaissance group came within Fort Douaumont and they weren't being attacked. They weren't being shot at all. They expected fierce machine gun fire and bombardment from artillery positions, nothing. So they just kept coming, and they were able to get into the fort through an open machine gun hatch, and they just climbed in. They found the garrison, all the soldiers hunkering in the bunker below.
Hunkering in the bunker.
They were doing a bunker.
Hunker.
Yeah, and they just took them captive. There were no casualties at all, apart from one German soldier who cut his knee. But the Germans used it properly. It was
Well, that's
a very
good. At least
strong
someone got
position.
some use out of it.
Yes,
And the French got it back eventually.
they did, but not until October. But we're going to go now to Fort Vaux and learn about a very different attack on that fort.
Okay, off we go.
Let's go.
Fort Vaux is only 2 miles from Fort Douaumont, yet artillery bombardment from French positions was so relentless that it took German soldiers another 3 months to reach it. This time they met fierce resistance from a French garrison led by Commandant Raynal. For one hellish week, German and French soldiers fought man to man in the tunnels of the fort itself. Welcome to the dank tunnels of Fort Vaux. We can see behind us a scene which tells its own story. Bullet holes here. In June 1916, the Germans broke through the wall and came through the tunnel, met the French on the other side. You're talking about the use of flamethrowers and gas, hand-to-hand combat, bayonets.
In these kind of tight
In
conditions.
tight, dark, dank, smelly, horrible conditions.
It's bad enough here anyway. I feel like
Yeah.
you and me have lucked out being here now. I wouldn't want to be there then.
No,
like, by any
no.
means. It's not nice now either.
No.
Crikey. Well, how long did they hold out? How long did they hold out for?
So the fierce fighting here took place for 6 days
Okay.
in early June 1916 under Commandant Raynal,
okay.
a volunteer fighter who had been injured 3 times. He was placed here with his Cocker Spaniel Kiki,
Nice.
and together with the support of many French
wasn't just
troops,
him and
Not
Kiki.
just the 2 of them,
No.
no. They held off German forces for several days until Commandant Raynal finally heroically gave the Germans a guard of honour in defeat. The Germans were so impressed.
Surrendering with style. then.
Surrendering, yes, with grace. The Germans were so impressed by his actions that he was taken to meet the Crown Prince of Germany and given a ceremonial sword.
Nice.
And ended up in a prisoner of war camp in Poland with Kiki.
So what happened to Kiki? We want to know.
Well, Commander Raynal returned to France after the war.
With Kiki.
Certainly not, no. Whereabouts unknown. Kiki did not return.
Oh.
But this story and this tunnel tells just how desperate fighting in these forts can
Yeah.
be.
I mean,
for
look
French
at it.
forces here.
It's just, yeah,
Yeah.
grim.
Shall we get out of here?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Would it have been this wet back here, like, when the war was going on, or is that...
I think in 1914 at the beginning this would have been mostly dry, but after artillery strikes water would have seeped through. And we know that during the battle here the French troops lost their water supply and they were forced to lick water off the walls of the fort and also drink their own urine.
Oh, man. Desperate times.
Yeah, absolutely.
For 300 brutal days, French and German soldiers vied for desperate control of the fort and hills around Verdun, as millions of deadly artillery shells rained down from above. The Germans advanced to within 3 miles of the city, however they were not able to take Verdun itself, and by the winter they had been pushed back to their original positions. 300,000 men lost their lives at Verdun. The French army had been severely weakened, but not defeated, and the heroic bravery demonstrated by the French soldiers became a source of immense national pride.
So it's the end of the day and we've come up to Dormont Ossuary. Os is the French word for bone. So this is literally the memorial for the bones found in this area. Within the ossuary there are the bones of 130,000 bodies, both French and German soldiers found in the area. And behind us are the graves for just 15,000 soldiers. And at the end of the whole arduous, incredibly traumatic and difficult experience, they reverted to the original lines. They had achieved nothing. Nothing had been achieved.
So all that death,
all that death.
all that injury, all that destruction, the landscape just been completely wiped out. So these trees weren't here during the war, were they? These are new.
These forests were paid for by the Germans after the battle.
As a form of reparation.
Yeah.
So the trees you're seeing here weren't here. The rocks you're seeing are ruins from gun emplacements and bunkers. The hills aren't hills, they're mounds. The ponds are crater holes. All that death and all that destruction for no
over
gain at all.
over 100 years later, the landscape has not recovered. There are still areas where trees won't grow, nothing can be planted. Whole villages from 1916 completely wiped out.
It's staggering, the scale of it. And today, for me this morning, Verdun was a word. I'd heard of it, I knew there was a battle there, but it's like a year-long battle, so much lives lost, and the significance it holds for the French people as a place. It's really brought it home being here. So get yourselves along and experience it for yourself.
Go to the Land of Memory website, where there's information for a whole range of sites across Verdun. And if you're interested in more information on World War I, if you're teaching or learning about World War I, go to historybombs.com, where there are some fantastic videos and teaching materials. Right, I think that's enough of Verdun. We're going to Belgium next.
Okay,
So we'll
nice.
see you there.
Yeah.
To plan your own trip to the historic sites featured in this video, go to the Land of Memory website. Explore fascinating historic sites across France, Belgium, Luxembourg and Germany. You can even browse pre-made routes and download Google Maps for your trips. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon.